2. Today with us, we are having a tutorial, a deck tutorial for noobs, for new players, for people who might have difficulty building their decks. We're going to have people come in and chat with us, ask their questions. We're gonna have pro players, hopefully. We already have one with us, so we're gonna be, at least we got one, and I'm hopeful that more people will join as the video run its course. We're starting this 4 minutes before the start of the game. Well, the start of the... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know the English word for that. So, let's welcome the first pro player that joined us, Homer.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for agreeing to help every new player out there. And we also got 2 newer players with us. You guys can say hello if you want.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up? All right, so these guys are going to have some question. If you are in the Kingdom of the Noobs clan, you are welcome to join the King Deck Tutorial VC and ask the question, and we'll try to answer the best we can. All right, so first of all, I want to go through the very basic. And Omer, by the way, if you want to stop me because I'm saying something wrong or whatever, don't hesitate to stop me. That's why I got you guys in here, because everyone know that hobos like to make some weird deck. But there is some definitive must that any new player must do absolutely. So let's say, for example, you're going to play with 26 Panzer because it's a good division. Whether you play on Balance, Vanguard, or Maverick, and by the way, guys, do not play Juggernaut, Flatline, or V for Victory in 1v1. So whether you play any of these 3 deployment, you want absolutely to get to the flags as quick as possible. And for that, you will need Flamers with the BMW R75. It's always good to go into the display all transport if you're not used to them and kind of look at how fast they're going. For the Germans, the fastest is the BMW. For the Allies, the fastest is the Traction, and the more common Jeep for the Soviet. There's a Jeep that goes 95 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, Jeep for the Allies and Soviets is the fastest. The Traction you also find on Axis divisions, but it's a niche unit and basically only in 2-3 divisions, so don't worry about it.
Exactly. So to start the deck, you'll get some Flamers. You could upvet them 1. That means you'll have an advantage over other Flamers, because most of the time Flamers will meet Flamers. That's how it goes. And so upvetting them means you get less, but you can still take 4 flags with these guys. And so well, I go for numbers because I'm a balanced deck. I like to spam a little bit. And then you're going to get another fast support weapon. And usually for the German, it's the IG-18. For the Soviet, it will be, you know, whatever equivalent. And
or the machine gun, if you prefer.
Well, for my deck, I like to call them the trifecta. So I'll have the Flamers, I'll have the HE support, and I'll have the machine gun. This is what I call the trifecta of deployment. And you've got the IG-18 and machine gun helping out each other, and you got the Flamer that's just there to capture the flag early. And you could go for recon as well and take the spot troop. This is less convenient. Most people won't do that. I personally do it when the spot troop can come with the traction at 115 kilometers an hour, and that comes with Festung, I think, the deck. And
Festung and one other, Toulon.
Yeah, Toulon and Festung. So these guys, you can bring the spot troop. And honestly, I know Attack Power Gaming said that spot troops are not good, but Attack Power is a massive noob, and spot troops are really, really good. You take 3 of them, put them in a town all together. I've got the proof on live video. They killed like 9 units of infantry. It was insane. But, you know, that's just... Attack Power is not really a noob, but spot troop can be good if they come early. So anyway, you want to get the trifecta. That you want in every single one of your deck. You could forego the IG-18, you know, if you really want to. But the IG-18 is really good because with the heat round, it can kill tanks. And even though it says it got 75 mil penetration, it will kill a Panzer IV or things like that. And So now I do have some example of deck. We got Balance, Maverick, Vanguard. I guess we'll go take a look at Want Some Noobs Maverick deck. And all right, so you can see here Want Some Noob. These are tournament deck, by the way. They're not QP deck except for that Vanguard one that I just made yesterday. But yeah, you can see here that Want Some Noob has not taken any C-Face Infantry in his Maverick deck. This is not recommended for newer players. Unless maybe Homer or someone has a different opinion.
Let's look at it, right? Normally, you're wanting to chase this like 80 unit availability, right? And 80 units will get you well through phase C. If you think about your Panzer decks and stuff like that, with a C phase card of infantry, they're usually going to be pushing around 70 to 80 units anyway. So what Want Some Noob has done here is he's actually just maxed out his infantry tab, which may mean that he's getting a little bit less availability in other tabs. But he's still got around the infantry units that you want for like a 50-minute game for tournament purposes. Now, if you are playing quick play, you probably still want that C-phase card just because longevity, it might go beyond 50 minutes. But let's be honest, if you're putting out 70 units of infantry here and it's a balanced game, right? You Maverick versus balanced, and you're pushing that 50-minute mark, it's not going to make too much of a difference, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not gonna make too much of a difference. The thing is, I think newer players will send infantry to their death often, so having a higher number can be very, very good for them, as long as they're not 40 points or 35 points infantry. So for newer players, I would recommend heavily, maybe like these guys, the Alpini. They're just there for the meat grinder basically, but at least you got something if you just need to hold some flag while your support unit do the job for you. And that's another thing of building a deck. So Steel Division 2 is mainly, in my opinion, a game of road and support weapon. So you're not going to win the game with your infantry, you're going to win the game with the support that the infantry is getting. And so it's very important when you build a deck that you have a lot of support unit. Now, unfortunately, that's not a good... Let's try to go... Yeah, so I guess that's me. That's my weird deck. But I do have a lot of support here. I took an IG-18 in B phase. I got Pack 40s in B. So these guys can both kill tanks and shoot HE. So, you got to leave yourselves a lot of options. And the more versatile a unit is, the better it is. So don't just take... there's not much option in this deck.
I gotta say, just
Yeah.
put out your 12th SS deck is slightly triggering me. Because the one benefit you have in 12th SS is that crazy arty tab. And you've taken a single mortar and that's it. But let's continue.
Yeah, no, but in the game I played... But since I got my new computer, it deleted all my decks. And I had a really good 12 SS Vanguard, but I didn't even use the 81mm mortar in that game. But basically, this is not a regular deck. This is a really push, obnoxious deck. But yeah. So,
yeah, spam infantry, spam auto cards. You can certainly do that, and you'll probably get far with it. But yeah, I don't know. You're not really playing to the deck's strengths here, but maybe that's just the benefit of it because your opponent isn't expecting what you're going to do.
Exactly, and I feel like the Pack 40 and IG-18 with their direct HE firepower is much better than the artillery for such an aggressive deck. I mean, because you're there, you're in his face, and he's going to try to deploy things to try to destroy 8 IG-18, and it by that time when he's busy with destroying these guys, you can send more infantry. But yeah, it's an unusual deck for sure. Let's go take, for example, Gemster's a good player. Tonoman as well. They do have Vanguard deck. We're not actually going to go... We're going to go with Tonoman here. Vanguard deck. Tonoman has artillery, the Hummel at least. He's got expensive anti-air unit. He does have a C-face infantry. Although they kind of suck. they're 25 points. They're not as expensive as some other infantry there, and he has, as you can see, a whole bunch of support unit. Now we've seen the game he lost it, but not because of his deck, because I think, in my opinion, that's an excellent Vanguard deck. Anyone has opinion on this deck?
It's a little light on armor, I think. Like, you've only got the 4 Panzer IVs in B. But other than that, it's not terrible. You got the mortars, you got the Hummels, Ju-87 G2s. Plenty of light support armor. Not a fan of the 250-8, the HE gun. It's just a little bit too expensive for what it does. You could probably take a card of Wolfklaus with 222s and just, bring your autocar spam a little bit into B, maybe move the 231s. But, and the Vaikua in this deck specifically are not great infantry. 25 points for like 3 MP44s is not worth it. But yeah, no, you can certainly make this deck work. You've got plenty of good tools with it, and enough infantry to really last you. So,
Some early heavy armor would be pretty scary.
Somewhat.
yeah, like I was saying, the armor, the heavy armor, right? So you can get tigers in this deck, and if you go to the tank tab, like just taking, I think there might even be 2 cards. They might be forced to 2 vet, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, you can take tigers. Take the tiger in A if you're Vanguard, right? So you got the income for it in A. Put it somewhere useful. Make sure it doesn't get shot at by 2K AT or something like that. And it could be a very powerful tool in this deck and just deny positions. I don't know the map that he was facing at this moment, but I would definitely take that tiger card. Probably in phase A or B.
What do you mean you don't watch my videos? Is that what you're saying?
I watched some of them.
Yeah, you just commented on the last one. That's the one. It doesn't matter. I'm just playing here, but yeah. Well, I did find the option to get the leaders a little bit weird, but you do have just 1 card of tigers, so I don't know. It is a good deck though, because I like the support tab. He's replaced regular tanks for Jagdpanzer 4s, and to me that's a good option. All right, so let's go into who do we have? Okay, so let's go build a deck. Does any of the noobs out there has a deck in particular they want us to take a look at?
I do.
Oh, yo.
All of us.
Okay, well, one of you. Let's go with Papa Nurgle. Which one do you want to see?
So I have just whatever Steam gives you at base buy. So a lot of these things that get banned, a lot of these divisions that people talk about or play a lot in the casts, I just don't have access to. So anything from like 3rd Fallschirmjager maybe, or 2nd New Zealand. I've seen that played a lot, but I'm not sure if it's even good.
Yeah, so 2nd New Zealand is a good deck. Well, I don't know in this current meta because I don't play them, but I remember they were very, very good. Omer, do you know if they're still relevant?
Entirely depends on who you ask, quite honestly. I'm not a fan of 2nd New Zealand personally, but Yaman absolutely loves the deck. And like Yaman used it to great effect, I think even in Division 1, right, which would be the best of the best players. But you do certainly need to be on top of your micro, and the infantry can be good, but only if you are really aware of it. It doesn't have like a lot of heavy artillery or stuff, but you'll rely on your 17 pounders, you rely on your good infantry, you've got some off map in it. M10s are just great all the time. So you can certainly build it in a good way, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be hard for noobs. Like you said, you need to be aware of the infantry and the little thing. 3rd Fallschirmjager is definitely really great, especially since the new patches. So what, Papa Nurgle, you wanted us to build the 3rd Fallschirmjager deck?
Yeah, let's go with 3rd Fallschirmjager. That was my go-to when I first started playing, and it just recently it's just not performing like I want it to, and I'm probably making mistakes. I'm very new.
Yeah, so the Fallschirmjager definitely had a big update, and so they certainly changed their playstyle quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. It really changed really, really, really bad. Well, I mean, for me, it's bad because I hate them. All right, so 3rd Fallschirmjagers, and with most decks, so we're gonna build this deck. The infantry tab's not gonna be like any other deck, but for most part, it's going to be the same thing for most. You want some, whenever you can, you got the armored recon. You absolutely want them. These guys, and you need to work on your micro when you take them. You can't just let them and not move. They got wheels. They got a lot of wheels. These are made to move. They're not made to be static. So when you deploy these, you really got to focus your attention on them. In phase A, it's going to be easier because there's not a lot going on most of the time. There's like little skirmishes and things like that. So you really got to take them, move them around, be annoying with them. Don't go to the enemy spawn. That's just dirty. Try to capture the flag zone and try to destroy the enemy infantry. Don't go too near, things like that. But anyway, so the SPW AB41, that is an absolute must for 3rd Fallschirmjager. The Panzer Abwehr, I would say it's a must as well because there's such a great bazooka infantry. It's almost ridiculous. You'd want them in phase A as well. Now we're going to build a balanced deck for 3rd Fallschirmjager because that's what I know best.
Balanced for life.
Yeah, exactly. You could get the Scharfschütze as well, but why take them nowadays? Because if you go into the infantry tab, you do have an infantry tab of just that.
Don't they come in the armored car?
Yeah, the Scharfschütze do come in the 250-9, which can be an option. I would say you probably want some other recon in B phase, and whether you take the Scharfschütze with the 250-9 or an Aufklärer. But the Aufklärer can also come in the 250-9, and then you get, 4 at double vet in B phase. So in this current meta where the Scharfschützen are just overshadowed by the fact that your infantry tab is full of Scharfschützen, I don't think the Scharfschütze is really worth it. You can kind of bring it for like a cheap option in A phase, but it's 25 points because it has like an extra man, right? So it's not even that much more effective than, your 40-point line infantry squad, which you got plenty of.
Yeah, exactly. And in every deck, you want double vet of Clara, and possibly with a transport, so that makes it 8. And, you use the transport with... What I do is I use them with tanks, and you use the Aufklärer, for general purpose reconning. Now, why you want them double vet is because they can detect better. And obviously, they can survive longer as well. But they can detect better. So, let's say your recon is at 1,000 meters from a forest. And if he's unvetted, there's a chance that he's not going to see... an anti-gun that's hidden there. But if he's double vet, he's got more chances. How does it work with the game? I don't know, but that's what the dev said, so I tend to believe them when they say things like that. And you're not gonna bring 8 of Clara either. You don't really need that much. So 4 for the tanks and 4 for general purpose recon. Is there anything else? No, that's pretty good for that. Okay, in the infantry tab, you're going to take, you really got to look at it from a cost perspective. So, do you take these Sturmjägers? They're some of the best unit at a 300-meter range. Obviously.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Just take them.
Oh yeah, you would at 40 points.
100%, right? Like the Sturmjäger, I mean, compare them to the sniper infantry, which is also worth taking. The Sturmjäger at that 300-meter range have absolutely crazy DPS. They will absolutely destroy everything. Take them one vet, take them double vet, or take them one vet, put them a leader next to them, take them double vet. They will just absolutely tear through everything as long as you can keep them alive, right? So don't, go throwing them out in the open expecting them to tear everything apart. But the way you use Fallschirmjager, keep them in green cover and then ambush enemy infantry, the Sturmjäger, or like in yellow cover, the Sturmjäger absolutely destroy everything. There's no contest. Best infantry in the game.
But yeah, the thing is, they are really good, so obviously they will get artillery down on their face, and then you spend 40 points and they just end up getting decimated by... In QP we're talking about, you will receive a lot of artillery, and that's why I'm hesitant to take them.
That applies to most of the units in third Fallschirmjager though, right? Like the FG42 units aren't that much less expensive, and you've got the sniper units which are also like 40 points, right? But I think the Fallschirmsturmjäger, especially in A phase, where you're not dealing with a lot of infantry, are definitely worth it.
All right. Well, Homer is infinitely better than I am, so we're gonna go with what he's saying, and we're going to have the Sturmjäger and his reasoning behind it. Now, the Jaeger with the snipers, yeah, they are 40 points as well, and the same availability as well. Probably, yeah. I guess we'll take them too for phase 8. And I would be reticent about taking more. I don't know about you, Homer.
Maybe not in A phase if we're doing a balanced deck. You've got 2 cards, maybe B and C.
We've got 4 cards of FS Jaegers.
Oh, with the ZF?
Yeah.
Man, for third Fallschirmjäger is a little bit nuts then. You
is.
could probably do A, B, and C, but you do got to be careful, right? If you're already taking the Sturmjäger, you don't want too many, like, 40 points units in A phase, because you got to contend with you're only bringing in 110 points worth of stuff, right? That's not even 3 squads of infantry.
Exactly. So I mean, I think 4 cards of 40 points infantry is intense, but why not? You do have 20 points Jaegers, but they can only come in B phase. So here we've got the FS Jaeger MG34 at 30 points. And I guess you're going to bring them as well in A phase. That's a lot of infantry for A phase. We don't even have CQC yet.
I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
You just put the FS Jaegers ZF into C phase with no vetting. Why? Just because you can bring 24 of them, or?
Yes.
Yeah, C phase is all about availability, right? You generally got your leader network set up if you're taking a leader network, and if you're fighting in C phase with intent, the game is likely going to go 30, 40, 50 minutes, and you're just not going to be able to do it. There are certain situations where you do put like 2 cards of C phase infantry at 1 vet, but if you're only bringing 1 card, definitely leave them unvetted and just go ham. And I don't think with the Fallschirmjäger being 40 points anyway, they'll last you a while. You've got the sniper, you can put them anywhere. I don't think you'll be suffering any if you do take them at 0 vet, and you get the added benefit that it's going to last you 5 to 10 minutes more than a single vet card.
Exactly, because at that point it's just pure spam in C phase, especially in QP. In tournaments you'll find much more tactical gameplay, but even in tournament it can end up being, because you've got so much of everything in it. Yeah, you want availability. I'm looking in the chat. I haven't till now, so hello everyone. I see, Homer, you're good to answer the questions in the chat. Are you good for that?
Yeah, I've been answering stuff.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so now we got a lot of units already. We have no CQC. Now, CQC, there's a debate about this. I think that CQC is not that important because, you know, you do have mortars that can help. There's other people who will think CQC is, you know, it's everything in game. But I remember Honored was saying that you don't actually need to take the forest to take flags on most map, and you can certainly win the game without ever fighting in CQC. So that's something I've been trying to incorporate in my deck. I'm not sure if anyone else has an opinion on that.
A little bit. I like, usually like A phase. I lack CQC sometimes. But if you're playing in quick play, you certainly will need it. The thing about third Fallschirmjager, especially though, and if you're playing like a balanced deck or something, none of the CQC options are actually worth taking over like another Fallschirmjager FG42 card, right? So you will have to just play around the excellent like mortars. You've got radio mortars in this deck, and use some of your support options to take CQC instead of dedicated CQC options, because 30-point Pioneers or Sturm Pioneers with frickin' G43s, which means they don't have any DPS, is kind of a moot point, right? So.
And who else was saying he had something to say?
Rage.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know much about the 12 about the Fallschirmjäger divisions. I'm pretty new to the game. I just learned my divisions to play. but I think just for beginners, CQC units are so important. Just in the beginning of the game, we had it. I played Nurgle 2 times, and one of those times, if I had not bring out so much CQC on the flanks in one of the games, I'm pretty sure I would lost the game in the instant we clashed.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's true that we're doing that for the new players, and new players will absolutely suffer without CQC because you just don't have the micro know-how to hold other areas. And even for good players, it's really hard. You know, I'm not saying it's a walk in the park. I'm just saying there's possibilities to do without. But yeah, so we will take the Flamers and the Pioneer in phase 8, and yeah, they are important. But what I think is if you want to try to just play with Pioneers, because some decks that I personally love only has Pioneers like Festoon, and what I do in this case is I just count on my these guys don't have it. I'll show it to you. I just count on my Wolf Pack. So the Wolf Pack for me, I talk about it a whole lot. It's not really efficient, but it's extremely powerful, and it is basically 4 81 millimeter half tracks. These guys, they have 40 shells, and these guys are okay. What I'm saying is not noob friendly, all right? I'm just saying, but you use these guys, and I don't know if you guys know that World War I tactic where they would shoot artillery in a long line, and the infantry would basically just walk behind that artillery, and then the artillery would be shot further and further and further and further until they arrive to the trenches, and your friendly would be behind it, and they would be right there when the enemy was panicking. So this is
to go back to third Fallschirmjager, right? You can actually do this with third Fallschirmjager. Not only does it get the 20-point supply trucks, right? It gets the basically Kübelwagens with supply, but you get radio mortars. So you've got your 250-1s or 2s with your mortars, just as standard infantry mortars, right? So that's certainly something that I would take advantage of.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a 81 mil mortar stays an 81 mil mortar, and it's true they have radio, so they can be better for that. The only thing I hate from these is that they're easily counterable, so you gotta move them. They move slow.
Actually, you know what I found recently? Mr. Ghosty told me a great trick about these 81 mil mortars.
Really?
They have radar on them. And now this is something that like very few people realize is if you double vet them, you're going to get only 3 in A phase, right? And then you take like another card and double vet, there's 6 in in B phase. But because they're radar, and another thing that vet does is make your units move faster, you can actually, if your micro is good enough, avoid counter battery by up-vetting your 81 millimeter mortars, which works for no other decks that don't have like radar 81 millimeter mortars with the higher availability. So wow. Just a really weird thing about like third Fallschirmjager, maybe fourth Fallschirmjager is these 81 millimeter mortars. You can up at them, and then they actually run fast enough to get away from counter battery.
Wow, that's crazy! I didn't know that. I don't play Fallschirmjager, so I won't get to try. But hopefully someone will. Really, really nice advice there from Mr. Ghosty. That's awesome. All right, so that's the thing you can do anyway. In if you lack the CQC, is to use your artillery, any type, and obviously in third Fallschirmjager you would take these mortars, and but use any type of artillery, shoot, and then walk in. It does take quite a bit of micro, but it's a good thing to practice microing your unit.
Yeah, so let's just finish up the infantry tab, Obo, or else we're not going to have any time to do some other decks. So maybe just take another card of FG42 or Pioneers in B, maybe, and then let's move on to the tank tab.
Yeah, we'll take the FS Jager, not the Pioneer. Well, yeah, you know what? We will, because we already got other infantry. So let's take the Pioneers unvetted. And the reason why I personally unvet my Pioneers is because personally I want them to be suppressed as much as possible, because as soon as they're suppressed enough, you can fall them back. And when you press the fall back button, they benefit from a defensive bonus. And Pioneers will often meet other Pioneers. So when the other Pioneer throw the explosive, you fall back your own, and then they get saved from dying. All right, so that is the infantry. For the deck, you know, for the tanks tab, you would take Stug tree. Always upvet your Stug tree. Otherwise, they're, well, I mean, unless you got one card of them, and you can upvet them once. But other than that, always upvet your Stug trees. Otherwise, they won't survive the front line. You can take the Panzer L6 too. Now, obviously, you're not going to use these tanks to destroy other tanks, although you could, but we're not there yet. You just use them as infantry support. In terms of support tab, we're gonna go, you know, like I said, we're gonna go with the trifecta. You don't have IG-18 in this tab, but you've got something much better. These guys will absolutely destroy it, and you want both tabs. They kill tanks. They kill 100 millimeter of tanks at 1500 meters. Of course, well, yeah, they're heat shells, so they're gonna do pretty good. And you got also HE shells that goes 2K. So you don't want to miss out on these LG42. But the thing is, everything is really expensive, so you gotta make some option here. You could forego, I guess, the LG42 if you take this 242. I mean, there are decisions, and they're entirely up to you. All of these two units are really good. When you take a 2K range unit, try to take it in A phase as much as possible, because that's when you get most value for it. So if you start taking 242 in C phase, you know, you're not gonna do a lot with them. But these guys will survive the entire game if you're careful with them. So it's worth taking in A phase and microing them. And then obviously you want some machine gun. You might want to take the MG34 because it's cheaper. That's your choice entirely. I would go with the MG34. And you want to take the commander. Now we don't have any support, so
instead of the commander for this deck specifically, I would just go with the Kumo munitions truck. We're kind of running out of supply slots here, and we didn't take any leaders in the infantry tab.
That's true. We don't have any leaders anywhere. All right, sounds good. Okay.
Actually, was one of my questions.
Yep.
Why no leaders? But yeah.
You can certainly take leaders, right? For a newer player, I would recommend trying to get used to the infantry Myco without leaders before putting leaders in your deck, because if you're playing around with leaders, your infantry is going to be more effective, but you're actually going to have that load of micro on you a lot more, because you can't freely advance your infantry without your leader nearby, so it's just going to add micro to the whole system. If you want to add leaders, go ahead, right? There's certainly stuff you can take out. It will make your infantry more effective, and you can set up like with a commander and stuff like that. Veterancy is super important at high level, but if you're just learning the game, try to learn it without leaders first, so your infantry can move freely, and then you get more infantry, so you're less susceptible to mistakes, is I think the most important part. If your infantry die, you can replace them with this kind of a setup, but if you're taking a leader, if your infantry die, well, then you've got the card filled up with the leader, and the leader can't fight by itself, right? So
Exactly. So many times I cast games from newer players and even intermediate players, and you see the leaders are just standing there, and everyone else died around, and the leader is just there holding the flag and eventually dying because of it. So it is really micro intensive to get a chain of command going on, but it is definitely very important. So for new players, maybe especially in the kingdom of the noobs, you find another player of your own skill level, set up a game, and then try to build decks with leaders, both of you, and you can, you know, train yourself kind of like that. Or you can play, if you don't have any clan members, you can play versus the AI, I guess, just to get you used to the micro a little bit. But yeah. Thanks for the question, by the way. Very good question. All right, so you've got the Poopshen. You definitely want these. They're really good. Whether you take them in A or B, I take in B phase, because what are the chances you're going to meet an IS-2 in A phase? You know, in 1v1, it's almost none. Almost. So I would recommend with taking them in B phase. That's just me. And I would also, probably Omer will find it really weird, but I'd also take the Gerlich in B phase. But that's just me, because I expect a 60-minute game or something like that. But it would be perfectly reasonable to take the Galich in A phase as well. So that's a cheap.
I think in third Fallschirmjager with the Pack 38, you can kind of leave the Gallich, keep the Pupian in B, but then you want your Pack 38 in A. You just get better availability at higher vet, and it kills tanks faster than the Gallich because it doesn't have that awkward damage thing.
Yeah.
And then you also have the space to take the Pack 40s, which are your real tank killers, right? Like I would almost take a Pack 40 in C phase in this deck.
And what, you'd keep the Galich in B phase as well, or just remove it entirely?
Just remove it.
So we're going with pack 50 mil in A phase, Poopshen in B, and pack 40 in C.
And maybe a Pack 40 in A as well.
It's starting to be expensive now. Now we're
It certainly is, yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing with when you go with super
It's an
power.
expensive deck.
Pardon me?
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Are you talking when I'm talking? Just kidding. Yeah. Anyway, so when you select really powerful units to play, often what you get is a real dilemma because there's so much good stuff to bring that now you just got to delete some stuff to make place for other. But anyway, so we'll go with that for now. We're at 40 points out of 50. I think we can manage. Anti-air, this is a no-brainer. Well, I guess you could take that, but I wouldn't. I would go with, that's the bad version of the Flag 36, but you have no other options here. So I would go, because you see here it's 90 rounds per minute. I would go with one vet just to help them out. So you only get one card in. You only get one card. I'm not used to play with this deck at all. You know what? Since you only get one card, I would say go with the Flak 88. Because anyway, in A phase, chances are you're not going to be overwhelmed by Air Force.
It's a little bit expensive to bring out Flak 88s in A phase. I would still go with the Flak 36, but I would unvet them actually. And you don't want them to kill planes, which seems counterintuitive. Hobo spoke a lot about like killing planes in a recent video, I think, and you gotta like click them on stuff. But the Flak 36, unlike the Flak 41, is just not potent enough to kill things anyway, even if you upvet them. So you take them at 0 vet, and then you're covered for A phase, and then you can bring out Flak 41s in B phase.
I have a question.
Yes.
Personally, I have the feeling units like the Flag 88 or the counterparts on other divisions with the Soviets or the Americans, yes, they are pretty good in AA, but I personally feel them more like anti-tank guns with a lot of range.
Well, there's different train of thoughts on that. Like the pros, like Omer, they would absolutely take Flak 88s for anti-tank, and they would place them on the front line. And for me, that's absolutely crazy because they attract artillery so much that it's not worth doing it. But I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, like at the pro level, I wouldn't want to take Flak 88s near the front anyway. You have to kind of do it with certain decks like Toulon, Dunkirchen. You bring the Flak 105s up really close to the front. You use them as AT and Flak 41s as well, but you actually want them behind the lines, working more just as AA, because especially like, I don't know, a couple patches back, this might have been like even a year ago or something, they reduced the AT capabilities of the Flak 41s, and they can actually just straight up lose fights versus tanks as well, unless you're shooting at 2K, which is just crazy. So you're investing 120 points into this unit. You do need it to act as AA, especially in this deck. You don't really get any other options. So, use it as AT, but put it kind of in a reserve line so that if the enemy breaks through your front, it can act as AT, emergency roll, it shoots and kills tanks, but you primarily want it to defend against AA. And so, it's got the range to do it. So just put it somewhere in the second line of defense, and it can do both roles just fine.
And what I usually do with them, the only reason I personally take Flak 88s would be for the ammo trucks. Now, I know it's really, really expensive, and probably with third Fallschirmjager it doesn't work really well because everything is really expensive. But in a deck where you can get 20-25 points infantry, I would absolutely take them with ammo trucks. And sometime I'll just forego the supply trucks entirely, because I'll bring my artillery with supply trucks, and then I bring a card of C-Face Flak 88 just for the ammo. But that's something that a spammer like me would do, whereas you need a lot of ammunition, and especially if you keep your artillery alive, then you'll want those. So like I said, there's many train of thoughts for the Flak 88 in particular. So yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't personally use them for tanks in the front line. You already have, especially in the third Fallschirmjager and in most German decks, you already got the Pack 40. Pack 40, honestly, it can kill anything. It can be really, really good. All right, so we're gonna go with Omer's suggestion here and take these guys in B phase and use them for anti-air. Although, like I said, I said many of my videos, but I would take all my AA and concentrate on a single plane to destroy them, because for me it's important to destroy planes as they arrive. I don't want to be spammed by airplanes.
Just take a fighter in this deck, honestly.
Yeah, but fighter with the potent AA that especially a lot of division has now, I find they don't really get far. I started not bringing fighters in my decks now, and I'm doing well with them. I'm doing okay. But yeah. All right, so here we're going to take the 81 mil.
A phase and B phase unvetted will last you the entire game. Like I talked about vetting them earlier, but that's generally more for a Maverick deck, in my opinion. But if you have unvetted A phase and B phase, you've got 15 mortars, and that's actually like way more than you would get in a traditional game. Plus, you've got radio on them. Like if you consider the radio half-track mortars in other decks, you get 2, 4, 6, I think, for veterancy curve. And so compare that to third Fallschirmjager where you get 5, 10. Right, it's the exact same as taking 3 mortar half tracks unvetted, and none of the other artillery besides maybe the off map is worth taking. But if you take off map, attack power is going to come and kill you in your sleep.
Yeah, that's true. You don't think the Gabers 40 are worth taking with the radio?
They're kind of bad. They're just like trash at counter battery, and they're like okay at 2 KHE. You're not going to use them in the direct assault role, which is the only thing they're good at, because you've got the LG40s. Like, the only benefit of these 105s is that they've got 50 rounds per minute, or 50 rounds in them, so they can last a lot with supply. But you've also got the 20-point supply trucks in this deck, so that's not even an issue either, right? They're kind of iffy for me. They get targeted by counter battery. They die pretty quickly. They don't have a lot of health. They've only got 6 strength, right? Their accuracy's not good. The rate of fire isn't good. They're like a mortar that dies even quicker than a mortar. Because at least with the mortar, your enemy has to target it directly.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right, so that settles it. And don't take these guys either. The Wirtwaffe, not good. All right, so this is the deck so far. In the air tab, I know Omer's going to want a fighter, so we'll put one. It's good to have a fighter, too. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. You don't have to vet them up. You could, because you only lose one, but honestly, I would go, if you take the card, I would go unvetted. And obviously now, you've got lots of good options. Personally, nowadays, I prefer getting a fighter bomber instead of the fighter. And if I need to use a fighter, I'll use my fighter bombers. And the reason for that is I'll just try to get the enemy to follow me. Follow my fighter bomber. He'll want to kill it since it's a fighter bomber. And he'll follow you until you get... Not in a pro level games, of course. But, you know, in QP, most people will follow your planes. And then you can just turn around and shoot them once your AA has done the job. So personally, I'm going with the BF-109 G6R2 fighter bomber. And the 50 kilogram bombs are excellent. I always choose these guys before any other. You know, sometimes you get 250 kilogram bombs on the BF-109. I would suggest always take the 50 kilograms. I feel like they kill more. And then...
Actually, the thing about the 50 kilogram bombers is they don't necessarily kill more. And the 50 kilogram bomb often feels like it misses the hit with, like, damage. but they reload really fast. And especially when you got 3 in A phase, you get a lot more value out of the 50 kilogram bombers than you would have a 250 kilogram bomber, because you're reloading in like a minute, maybe a minute and a half, rather than 2 minutes, and it adds up quickly. Your 50 kilogram bombers are cycling a lot more than your 250 kilogram ones.
But also, when you launch these 4 little bombs, the thing is, you can surrender or kill units when they're falling back. So the thing is, when one of them hit the ground, there's still the other 3 to hit, or sometimes 2 will hit at the same time or whatever. But I've noticed that makes unit kill faster. That if you just put a 250 kilogram, then the unit will be suppressed, it'll fall back, and that's it. But by the time the last bomb drops, he's already falling back, and so that kills it. I think, just an observation I kind of made while playing the game, but I cannot confirm that or anything like that. Anyway, ME210s are okay as well, but next we're probably gonna go for the duck, the 175 mil. I would go for B face. This is an emergency, I would say, plane. It has very good resilience, so it can really tough enemy AA. Yeah, so let's say the enemy is pushing you hard. There's a train of tanks coming to you. You just deploy this one. You press shift. You select one target, and then you select another. So as soon as the first target is dead, he'll go for another target directly. And we can see that in my recent shorts. There's a perfect example of that in there. Now you could take also the JU-88. We do have certainly the points for it. Most people will try to cheese you and use it in the opening phase. I recommend against doing that because it is very, very dirty. But I personally, when I play 3rd Fallschirmjager, I put them in C phase because, I don't know, I feel it's less dirty. But you do spam them. You have 4 of them and it just completely destroys your enemy. But by C phase, anything goes. And I understand it can be frustrating, and I'd probably be swearing myself if I were facing that. It's a really, really dirty plane overall, but it's a really powerful one. So use it however you
use
want.
it responsibly.
Yes.
Don't kill your opponent in the opener with the stupid JO-88 napalm bomber.
Exactly. It's a touchy subject. And also you could probably take some recon plane to go with the duck, because the duck will need line of sight. It's unfortunate we don't have a slower recon plane, but I would personally pair these guys up together. It's only 65 points,
Yeah, you either take them like 0 vet or A in A if you want a recon plane in A, or you take them 1 vet in B and you just keep them flying around while the duck is doing it. And you also want your mortars shooting at the enemy AA pretty much the entire game when you can get away with it. So it's certainly worth doing that.
Yeah. And then we actually have 5 points over, so I personally would go with AA myself.
Yeah, take another card of Flak 41s.
We don't. Oh, Flak 41 again. All right. Well,
It depends, right? Like if you want your options here are 20 mils or Flak 41s, and for a balanced deck, I would you can take the Flak 41s in C, can you not?
yes, you can.
Yeah, so just take them in C. You've got 6 of them. Look at that. That'll be plenty, and it'll give you the benefit that you can use them in AT as well in emergencies, and it'll make up for the fact that you don't have like a C phase card of tanks or something like that.
Yeah. All right, but we'll take them with the ammo trucks.
A little bit ambitious, but if you think you need that much ammo, you just got mortars in your artillery tab. But
You absolutely need. Oh, you know what? I had removed the Kubel ammo trucks. So there you go. That's 50. I think you do need that much ammo, but maybe people will disagree. So just for the sake of, because we're going to share this deck in the comments after the video uploads. So just for the sake of being for newer players, let's put it without ammo. And there you go. That's your 3rd Fallschirmjager deck for Papa Nurgle. Do we have another deck that... do anyone has any question pertaining to the 3rd Fallschirmjager? Okay. What else?
Excuse me.
What?
Yeah, excuse me for interrupting you. I would like to turn back to a phase infantry section because of this is, on my opinion, on my humble opinion, is this is a very important question, as you know, initial firefight defines the front line configuration and so on. So I actually break my head around whether to take six simple line infantry of one wet, or whether it's worth taking nine simple line infantry of zero wet, means unvetted. But taking nine of them will allow me to be more flexible and feel the front line with these probably less efficient, but how to say that? When I feel the front line with these cheap infantry, especially I'm talking about simple Panzer Grenadiers without Panzerschreck, or Strelke SVT, or Guardia without DP. I mean, armed with one machine gun. So having nine of them, which cost 20 points each, I can feel the front line with them. I recognize that they cannot hold the line, that they sooner or later will have to retreat. But
Yeah.
first, they will define number of vector of enemy attack, which particular units attack that particular point or this direction, and they are resistant enough, unlike Ersatz Grenadiers or some discarded troops, resistant enough to hold the line until I'll send reinforcements. What do you think about that?
It's really depends on the deck. You don't have the 20-point infantry to do it in third Fallschirmjager particularly, but there's a lot of Panzer decks where that's actually not a bad idea. Like I take my infantry, for example, in 19th Tank Corps, unvetted in Phase A, because that infantry tab is just absolutely horrible. You don't get any availability. So if you're playing a deck that relies a lot on support units, support tanks, support, MGs, stuff like that, you can certainly do it, but like you already said, you're not holding any ground with 20-point unvetted infantry, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got an infantry-focused deck, don't do it. But if you've got the support to do it, then it's completely fine.
Look, here I'm talking about particularly infantry decks like 122, or I don't know, 7th Mag for Soviets, or any other strong infantry divisions. Because of why I tested the various hypotheses, and I at the end I still feel that I have lack of infantry, some cheap but resistant enough infantry to to hold the front line, because of even my front line will collapse on the axis of enemy attack.
The
I'll
thing
be
is,
able to,
sorry, Tim, to cut you. The thing is,
yeah.
you you should
Yeah,
hold.
sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry too. You should hold the line more with support unit than with your infantry. Your infantries are useful, but in the end, it's your support unit that supports your infantry that's going to do the job. So it's important for your infantry to be able to resist, as your support units around kill the threat in this game.
Yeah, but I probably overread the theory, and I'm aware of the concept of fire and maneuver. That's why I probably tend to place my support units on the flanks, just to let them to be able to have a flanking fire. Like, I don't know, even AT has better
Yeah,
results
Un-
shooting at the side of the tank. So
Unfortunately, I tried like actual literary theory of warfare. Doesn't apply much to video games, unfortunately. In Steel Division 2, you've generally got 3 lanes, and while you can kind of play around with flanks a little bit, everything in ranges is really limited. So, yeah.
it is applicable anyway. I tested and it is applicable. I'm talking about the situation when, placing some ersatz troop and for some infantry division on the front line. Of course, according to the Swords law, they start retreating once you switch to another part of the map. It's just according to the Swords law. So they are not as resilient as I would like. But this cheap infantry is pretty resilient. I mean, they can
At a high level,
afford.
the game turns into a lot more about efficient trades. So you can have unresilient infantry, and it will die. If you support it, it'll perform well. If you don't support it, it will just fall back, just like disheartened infantry, right? Or it'll die. So what you're saying, you can certainly do it, but it not great. So let's move on. Why don't we get another deck to play or whatever Hobo Tango prefers?
Hold on, let me break all your suggestions because I'm not going to lose them. I'm just going to retreat after they bring some casualties to attacking enemies. I mean, kill one
If you
or
bring
two.
them at 0 vet, they're not bringing any casualties.
Sure.
Like they're not doing any damage if you're just advancing unvetted
I
infantry.
mean, they are attacking. They are exposed. They're on the open ground. While I'll have some green cover, so apparently I can kill one or two men,
Well-
and then I mean.
1 or 2
even-
men for an entire infantry squad. So even if you're falling back, you're taking like 5 or 6 damage.
What if
I get your point. And it's valid. You can certainly play the game however you like, but Hobo Tango, let's get another deck going, just so we get a little bit more questions into the round, right?
Yeah, we'll keep going, but Tim, I invite you to go in the Discord and type it out, and then we can discuss that further. Just because.
Excuse me for taking the time.
No, that's fine. Like I said, the Discord's there. Type it in, and we'll definitely check this later in there, and for everyone that wants to read it as well.
My question that I'm going to be short as I can. My question is about some semi units like suppression or I don't know some units manned with 4 or 5 men, but pretty efficient in. Mostly in close combat. I consider them as the part of the bigger squad, but this squad is just divided on this small part like Superior Purpose plus Stroke KDP. What do you think about that? I use them as combo. By the way, it is referred to...
After the PPSH buff, they also got Shock. They're great for rushing down units, but generally low health squads, especially for a new player, are micro intensive because if you don't micro them, they will die very quickly. So unless you're using them in some kind of meme strategy, rush, stuff like that, I would stay away from them as a newer player. But they're certainly powerful, Separi PPSH in particular.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can we just go back to deck building, please?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll go
Right.
for it. Tim, don't hesitate to ask your question in the Discord, and we'll answer them in more details.
Where exactly? The DM to you or where?
Oh, in the main channel. In the main channel. Don't
Main channel.
hesitate.
Roger.
Main channel or discussing strategy, it's in the Discord.
Apologize for interrupting the course of your...
No
your
worries. No
streaming.
worries. It's fine. But yeah, let's go take another deck. And what other deck should we do? Does anyone in the chat had something they wanted to
do.
Go ahead.
Can you make a deck for Brunner and a Brigada?
No, because that division sucks and you shouldn't play it. Next.
No, you can make it. Come on, man.
Oh, my Bulgarian pride, all gone.
All right.
The Bulgarians are good, though. Come on.
All right. I guess I'll let Omer again talk. I'm sure he played a lot with that. I didn't. I played once and I really hate them. Oh boy, just look at that. All of these names I can't pronounce. That's not good for YouTube. All right. So let's take a look together at them. That's actually going to be
the real
good.
reason Hobo doesn't want to play this deck is because he can't pronounce anything.
Exactly. No, but in retrospect, it's going to be good since I don't know the deck. I can be giving the train of thought here. So if we go in the recon tab, and personally, I always start my deck in order. So if we go into the recon tab, they got the M223. This is just a machine gun. You wouldn't want that normally, but since they do come with the radio, then I'm going to go take a look at the artillery and see if anything.
I cannot see what you're displaying.
Does
It's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube. Wait, I'll put the link
Yeah.
in the main channel.
Quite honestly, I don't know if you just want to let me talk over this, but the recon tab in Briona Brigada, you actually want to focus on the Aufklärers, because the Aufklärer or the Razuvanachi or something, E-Kips, they come in 222s. So you bring them double vet or single vet, right? And you can get 222s. You bring them both in A phase, both without any vet, you get all 4 222s, and then you can bring your Konvadiva Daci, which are actually CQC infantry, the partisan Yugoslavian partisans in B phase, and that's your recon tab right there. Great recon tab. It actually gives you 4 recon cars, and while your recon is unvetted at this point, which we already talked about, not the greatest idea, it does give you 4 Aufklärers basically, which is just great.
Okay, so yeah, I do want you to talk over for this deck. So we're taking the Razuznavachi with the whatever, guys.
Straight on, though. He said it correctly.
Good.
Yeah. Every time you guys pronounce a German word, something in me dies. But that was just hilarious.
No, but
The only German
Deutsch.
words I know is Zisti Americana and Guten Tag.
yeah.
Good duck.
So all right, so we're taking the Raznu Vanadachi in A phase, vetted up, and then we're taking the Konjiji is in B phase, unvetted. That's right, Homer?
Yep, correct. That's right.
All right, and these guys
So we
are
Yeah.
wait-
And now onto the infantry tab.
Yeah.
You've basically got one unit that's its one-trick pony here. And I don't know if we're building a balanced deck. Are we building a balanced deck?
Well, since it's you, I'm guessing we're gonna build we already built a balanced deck, so let's go Maverick.
Yeah, so let's build a Maverick deck, right? You've basically got one infantry unit that's really, really good here, and that's the Pechota, I think is how you pronounce
Yes,
it. It's the
yes.
15-man squad with the ZB30 and 13 Mannlichers. It's basically your line infantry rifle squad, except it's 15 man, and the straight pull rifles actually put out a ton of DPS. So take one of those in A phase, take one of those in B phase, and you're doing pretty good. Then you want your Sturmovie Pionieri in either A or B phase, probably in A phase. And then you take your regular Pionieri in B phase for your CQC options. And, well, that's not a lot of infantry. So there's also another Pechota card, actually. Yeah, okay, so you take 2 Pechota cards in A, Sturmwehr Pionieri in A Pechota in B, a Pionieri in B, and then you take like a Moto Pechota Faust in C phase, unvetted, right? And there you got your infantry tab.
But that's just 63 infantry units.
Unfortunately, yes. You can add another card if you really want to, Hobo Tango, but this is a tank division. So maybe we finally discovered why Hobo Tango doesn't like Briona Brigada, because it's also a Maverick division we're talking about here, right? So you want your Pechota to last you. They are chunky squads, but unfortunately just the nature of the tank division means you don't get a lot. I suppose if you really want, you can take another Moto Pechota or something, but there's not really any other great options in this deck. Like the Loviji Tankova, just to go over some of them. It's got a boys anti-tank rifle. It's got a heat shell, but it's 6 men. Not really worth taking. It's not going to function as line infantry. The Borchi are your best other option here. 9 men and an automatic rifle, but they're not particularly great either. The only thing you get of them is a amount of availability. And then the rest of the units are barely worth considering here. You've got your like Grenadier level squad with 2 ZK383s and an MG34, and then a bunch of commanders that don't come without radio. If you're really a fan of radio, I suppose you can take the Moto Pechota commander here. But yeah.
All right. Okay, sounds good. So we'll go with that for the infantry. Let's move on to the tank tab.
To make up for the fact that you take no infantry, you'll notice very quickly that you got the T-35s, the T-11s, and the T-38s here. So take your freaking infantry support tanks, the S-35, it's a T-35, but they call it the S-35. Thank you, Bulgarians. Take that thing unvetted, right? Take the T-11 and take the T-38, right? Or maybe even take the S-35 in B phase, but you take all 3 of them. And look at that, you've got 30 additional cards of infantry tanks,
Oh, man,
right?
that is obnoxious.
Absolutely great.
That is
It's
sick.
so obnoxious, but that's how you have to play this.
And I'm guessing
then-
you take the leader as well with the radio. No?
Not necessarily.
10 points leader
It
with
depends
radio?
on what you're doing.
Okay.
You can take the leader Skoda with radio as well, but I would personally prefer to start taking Stugs. You take the A phase, the B phase, or the Stugs. Fortunately, you can't double vet them,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And do you take them in C face as well?
This is a Maverick deck we're building.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, so... All right, I don't like that deck, but let's keep on going. Support tab.
Oh, excuse me,
unfortunately-
before you come to the support app, just one more short remark. Can you demonstrate some certain example on your screen, example of the division? This information will be perceived way more easily for newcomers or rookies like me, and the exact example will help us to sell IT service.
It's on YouTube. If you're willing to do that, but Obo Tango, I don't know if you can stream your screen on Discord as well for the viewers watching here.
No, he doesn't. That's why I remarked.
Go on YouTube. I put the link in the main channel.
I apologize. My fault.
No
Excuse me.
worries. All right.
Yeah, and so support tab. Unfortunately, you're missing one of the trifecta here. You don't have any flamers,
Oh, yeah.
and the
bad.
37mm is kind of meh. You can take it as a replacement IG, but instead of 1500 meter range, it's got 1000 meter range.
Oh,
So you
man.
might as well just take 2 cards of MG34,
Yeah, pretty much.
one vet thumb, take your supply trucks and B, and then that's it.
Oh no,
Honestly,
that is not good. That
Yep.
is not a good deck. I don't think Broninara would be good for newer players at all.
it's not particularly noob friendly. Like it's got the hallmarks of an infantry spam deck, except the tab of a tank div. So what do you spam? Well, unfortunately, you spam the light tanks, like I said earlier. Right. So moving on to the AT tab, you definitely want the Rheinmetall 36mm, the little. Wait a minute, 36?
Yeah,
Rheinmetall
yeah.
36, 37mm. It's got heat shells, absolutely amazing. Take that in A. You also got the 50mm and the 97-38, and then you take the Pack 40s in B phase.
Wait, so you don't take the 75 mil?
I do.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay, so yeah, we've got these 3 in A phase, and then the Pack 40 in B phase. There's 2 cards of 50 mil. Do we not take some in C phase or something?
No, again, balance deck. I mean, not balance deck, Maverick deck.
Yeah, I'm just saying
Right.
for longevity, but okay, all right.
I think a B phase card of Pack 40s will definitely last you like 30 minutes at least. And if you're Maverick,
Omer, it will.
so for
last,
anyone, yep.
It will last you 30 minutes, but will it last the newer player
Okay.
30 minutes?
That is the question. But if they are a newer player, then maybe they should reconsider playing Balance instead of Maverick. And this deck is already hard enough to play like Maverick as it is, rather than Balanced. So I think if you're willing to practice your micro, definitely just take the one card. Because if you're playing Maverick, the goal of the game is actually to win at or around the 36-minute mark if you're facing a balanced player. Because that's when the balanced player starts having the income advantage over you, is the not 36, 26 minutes, right? So halfway through C phase, a little bit more, you need to be converting flags into like a victory, right? So if you're taking more than a B phase card of Pack 40, you're already planning for a longer game, which it depends on your opponent, but in quick play, even facing another Maverick opponent, I would definitely be still aiming for that mark. So I think the B phase card is fine.
All right, so this deck would be not for the noobs, but for those who are trying to get out of being noobs and into intermediate players.
Yeah, exactly. So to move on to the
Anti-air.
anti-air tab, then you do get the 81mm or 88mm flak 41s, which you can take in A or B. It's a bit of a toss-up, quite honestly, what you want them in. But then other than that, you take the Rheinmetall 37mm in the phase that you're not taking the 88mm in.
Yeah. All right. So I decide on the A face 88 with the B face 1 vet 37 mil.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then maybe if you need some more, I would generally, if I'm taking flak 41s in A phase, I actually pair them with 20 millimeters, like even up vetted. And despite the fact that you only get 4 of them, putting 20 millimeters near or around your 81 millimeters kind of saves them from being overwhelmed and gives you just a little bit more killing power. So,
All right. Okay. Artillery tab.
the artillery tab's interesting because this is actually a tab that I would use the Dozor in, which is the
Oh yeah, for the radio.
artillery observer. Yeah.
So we're going with those
For the
phase
radio.
8.
Yep. And then you either want the Gaub Schneider in A phase for meme opener reasons or B phase if you're playing more of an arty spam game. And then again, you take 150 millimeter in either A or B, and then potentially the off map in the artillery commander.
Do you take the ammo trucks with the 150? No, because it's Maverick.
No, it's Maverick. We've got ammo trucks in the support tab.
All right, so we've got the Go Bofors 36 in phase A. That's 5 of them. We've got 2 150 mil in phase B, and then what else were you saying?
The 200. There's a 220 mil Schneider in the deck. Is there not?
Oh yeah, there is here. You want that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like heavy artillery more personally. If you're taking the small Bofors 36 in A phase, I would actually put an artillery leader next to them, an artillery ski commander. Otherwise, you take the Schneider gun instead of the 150s. The 220 millimeter is just so much better than the big gun. And then, of course, there's off map if you really want it or need it.
All right, so wait, where do you want those Schneider?
If you're taking the Schneiders, take them over the 150 millimeters.
Okay, all right. There you go. We've got these Bofors in phase A. All right, now we've got an artillery commander, but we don't have any commander in the game.
Nope, the artillery commander is actually to put next to your Bofors to give them the radio.
Okay, so it works without a commander. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're at 35 points out of 50, so we can definitely air spam if we wanted to.
Yeah. You might want to put in another card of infantry, another card of tanks, and then of course for the air tab you've got your IL2s in A or B. You could actually probably take the IL2 cluster in A and then the rocket one in B. You can take the DO-17 as your recon option in A. And potentially like a heavy bomber.
Wait.
The Stukas aren't
You're going
really
too
worth taking.
You're going too fast. I got the IL-2
Sorry.
cluster, then the IL-2 rocket in B face, and then what?
The DO-17 here again
The 90
is a
points?
recon plane.
Oh,
Yep, you'll take that in A phase.
the recon one.
And then-
B face, okay.
Yep, because you just want recon for your AT planes.
Yeah. And why would you prefer a big, large recon instead of a light and fast recon? I'll explain that.
Light and
to the
fast recon
viewers.
dies. That's pretty much it. Light and fast recon just dies. Meanwhile, the DO-17 has very good resilience. So the DO-17, it's not even that slow, right? It actually goes faster than the air recon, the light air recon in this deck. But the Focke-Wulf 189 goes slower and has worse resilience. So there's literally no reason not to use the DO-17. It's just a much better plane all around.
And in much of all decks, you would want the big, large recon plane just because they tend to survive much longer. They're harder to kill, and fighter planes will just zoom by because they go too fast. All right, so now we got the Uragan. We've got both IL-2s, AT. Do we have other planes?
There's a DO-17 with 250 kilogram bombs.
Yeah.
That you can get in A phase at 3 availability, which is just really good.
All right, so we took that. We're at 43 points out of 50. We're
Yeah.
going to add, what,
Yeah.
another recon, you said?
No,
No?
you don't need another recon. Maybe like a fighter and the Stug commander in A or B phase.
Fighters don't have good options there.
Yeah, if you really want, you can actually add the M223 as your like second radio option. Like it is armored, so it's a little bit better than the BMW in that role, or in the recon tab. But yeah, and then I think
Well-
that should get us somewhere up to the points, right?
Basically, look, we'll leave the deck at 4350, and then the players can fiddle whatever else they want in the deck. How about that?
All right.
All right. Okay.
Oh, if you forgot the second card of Aufklärers in the deck anyway. From the looks of it.
I did in A face. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4550, and then you guys can add anything. Who was asking for the Broninara deck? Who was it?
I was.
Okay, Blex. All right, so that you good with that?
Yeah, I can build on that.
All right, build on that, train on that, get better. Next, anyone else wanted to see a deck being built?
Excuse me, I have a question about the utilization of the recon plane because of I follow the same way as Homer does because of the more the more resilient recon planes are more survivable, of course. But I've met one guy, and that bastard, what he did do in our game. He just placed 8 mortars of 120 and then sent his cheap recon plane along the front line to let my AA to disclose itself. And then after my AA disclosed itself by its fire to that cheap recon plane, all 8 mortars start shooting and knocking out my AA, and I couldn't deal with that.
This is actually the
We had numbers of them.
in this. This is actually the tactic that you want to use in this deck. Is you bring out a bunch of artillery early, right? Then you bring out your recon plane and you shoot AA while relying on your other planes to kind of deal with anything that's left over. That's a very common tactic.
I understand. He deliberately took these cheap recon planes in numbers to utilize them in that way. You know?
Not in this instance, because the cheap recon planes in Boyona Bagada are again just way worse in every single way than your DO-17. You can bring out one DO-17 and it will literally do a better job than 3 small recon planes. And plus, you actually get like 2 at 1 vet DO-17s in this deck. So you can actually just do that as well with your just better planes. And then you've got recon planes flying in above that are actually survivable instead.
Homer, I know all advantages of using more resilient and fast recon planes. I mean, do the same and follow stick to your point of view in that case. But I've met the guy uses these cheap planes this way.
Yeah, well,
That's what
we're not
trying to-
saying that small recon plane will never be useful. They have their use. We've seen many games where the recon planes actually carry the A face with their little bombs. It's just in a general way, the bigger recon will be the better choice. But this is
Some
not-
decks you have to take the small recon planes anyway, so you'll end up seeing them, right? Like
But
if you're
my-
playing
my-
Ikmarapana or something, you're going to see cheap recon planes and lots of arty. It's just gonna happen.
I mean, these these cheap and he had even unarmed recon planes without bombs, without even machine gun. He just sent them out along the front line to reveal my ally and destroy.
Yeah, not to be rude or anything, but I think we've covered this topic pretty succinctly. So, anybody else got another deck for us to cover?
Right.
I have video of one that I just recently played in a tournament.
Do you have the replay?
Yes.
If you can send me the replay, I can take the code real quick from it.
Okay.
if you want us to review the deck. But which deck was it?
Third armored.
Third armored. Yeah, sure. Let's play it. Let's make a third armored deck, Hobo.
Oh boy.
Oh, third armor.
Another one for me to talk through, I guess, or what?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I don't play third armored. I hate third armored. But we'll go with it. I think it's
Why?
Why? Because
It's garbage.
He's
well,
Canadian.
it's a good deck to play. It's just it doesn't have the infantry spam that I like, really. It you don't have
Just-
lots of infantry. You're counting on a lot of half tracks, and I kind of hate this strategy. So I'd be an hypocrite to do it. I do it sometimes because I'm not perfect. I can be an hypocrite, but I mean, I don't know. It's just not my play style at all.
Ah, damn it! That's not how it needs to go. Shit.
Yeah. Well, I can real quick talk you through third armor
Here.
and what I like to do
Here,
with it.
I have. Here, let me get on my computer. It's already on. I was on my mobile device, so let me walk over and I can stream it.
Well, do you want us
Um,
to just build the third armored?
Let's
Yeah,
just
let's just
build a
run through
third
it.
armored balance deck.
Yeah,
I've got a great third armored balance deck. Actually, do you want me to just send you
Yep.
the deck code, Hobo?
Yep, go ahead, because it's gonna go faster
I'll
like
just-
that.
Yeah, I'll just send you the
Because
deck code.
I think Homer has to go eventually, and as soon as Homer's gone, then all hell will break loose with me.
It is unfortunately Saturday, so I have nowhere to be.
Welcome to the
Oh,
community,
okay.
YouTube. Welcome to the community. Don't forget to hit those like buttons, guys. I'm seeing only like 4 on my screen. Maybe I need to refresh.
Only 4. No,
I-
yeah, people are rude. There's
I did
see
5.
7.
Nice. Hobo's got the stats. Okay, well I sent Hobo the deck, so we'll be seeing it on screen shortly, and then I can just say a little bit about it. All these decks will, of course, probably be in the comments later.
Oh my god, look at that. There's off map in that deck.
Oh no! Attack power's gonna
Off-map's
kill me.
needed, man. That's a tool.
Yeah.
Especially with the half tracks, right? Like you want your off map to surrender stuff, but it's gotten a little bit expensive, so it's hard to justify.
All right, so
Oh
here
shit,
we are.
my build's not even fair.
Yeah, so this is of course a little bit, it's my personal deck, a little bit of a higher level, right? Like it's a balanced deck, and I'm only taking a single phase of C cards, for example. But really, the defining principle behind this deck is mobile artillery, half tracks, and the jumbos, right? That's basically it. You use your half tracks to annoyingly suppress and surrender stuff, while your armored rifles make it impossible for your enemy to assault you with any light armor and stuff like that. Your jumbos are there to hold open ground. M4A176s are just way better than standard Shermans in my opinion. You've got the M5A1s to kind of make up for the lack of infantry in the cases where you need it. So you got plenty of good infantry support tanks. You've got the flamethrowers and the very fast 4 GPAs. You can bring the 2 KHE in it, right? You've got the M4 105s, 2 cards of them, in fact, and the 50 cals. I bring a lot of supply in this deck. You do kind of need it in third armor. There's no alternative to bring like artillery or anything with supply trucks, so unfortunately you do just need to take those 2 cards there. And then you got the excellent M1 guns, which come in the speedy transports. You got your M576s for everything else. M10s in C, although you can bring them in other phases. I like them in C in this deck, and that's basically just to push open ground if I'm playing in quick play or something, versus Panthers or Tigers. Anything else you kind of want to use your off-map for. 60mm mortars are great for winning infantry fights. Engineers, of course, are not going to win infantry fights alone. They just don't have the DPS for it, and engineers are kind of bad in the meta. Flamethrower units are much better. So you got to use your 60mm mortars to account for that. And then in B phase, especially against the Maverick opponent, bring in that off-map your opponent, use half-tracks to surrender everything. It's absolutely devastating. Attack power, like, I used this strat against attack power once, and I swear to God, he was swearing up and down. Absolutely hilarious. And then the M12 GMCs, they've got very little ammo, but you keep them mobile, you keep them moving. They're great little tools. You keep an ammo supply truck next to them, especially since the armored supply trucks in this deck, they have armor, so they don't die to counter battery either. And you just destroy your enemy's artillery and then use them as support for, infantry pushes and stuff like that. So great little deck. And the P51's absolutely dirtiest thing in the world. is save up 40 points in this opener and bring the P51 D5 in at the first tick. As your half tracks are rushing towards the enemy, bring in the P51, blow up a position, and they do so much suppression that everything's going to be suppressed, and then you rush in and do half tracks. Like, that's not as cheesy as the third Fallschirmjager napalm openings, but it's pretty up there for devastating. So if you want to have a little bit of fun, that never fails to make me laugh.
I never use a napalm in Phase A. I use it in Phase B.
Amazing. Well, you got the P51 D5s, which are pretty much the same thing, just with gigantic bombs. They're called nuke bombers, and you can either bring that or the Marauders in Phase C as well, just for your late game impact, right? But it's great.
Well, I sent the replay to you, plus the one that I think I posted in the main channel.
Okay, no worries. We'll check that later. But yeah, that's the basis of the deck. It takes some micro to play third armored, but you gotta be really cheesy. You gotta be comfortable with playing like Homer, and I don't think you should be comfortable playing like that. I'm just I don't know. It's a very frustrating technique, but it does work with your micro, because you gotta time the bombs with the half strike. So it does takes a lot of skills to be good with third armored. In my opinion, it's a deck that's going to be really hard to play if you're just not on par with those combos. I don't want to insult anyone.
Nope, no insulting here.
All right. Because actually, when I think about that, when I play Festoon, when I play Festoon, I'm cheesing my way out of there too. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, and Omer, do you keep your 76 behind the jumbo? Is that something you do?
The 76 AT gun?
No, the 76 Shermans.
The 76 Shermans are basically used like M10s would be in a Commonwealth deck.
Okay. So
not the M10 tank destroyers with the APCR, but like the Commonwealth M10s with the fast fire rate. You basically only want them in ambush positions, so don't even put them behind your jumbos. Put them in cover somewhere so they can jump out and ambush targets.
all right. Because what I remember, what I like to do with that deck is to put the 76 right behind the jumbo, because everything will shoot at the jumbo, and then you got the 76 behind, and he's just killing targets. All right, well, that does it for third armored. Is there any other deck out there that should be looked upon? Is there, Omer, is there a noob friendly deck out there?
A noob friendly deck.
Yeah, like 20th Panzer or something like that.
44th.
44th. Oh boy.
715th infantry.
Let's go for a Soviet deck. We didn't do one yet. So let's go with
97.
26.
26, 44th, both are good. I think 26 needs to be played in Maverick though, and not balanced. So it depends on what you want to build the deck as.
What about the 97th?
97th also works.
All right, just
Do you, Hobo?
Just wait, I'll do a random thing here. Okay, 84th. All right, so 84th is a balanced deck because you've got the IS-2 44. Do we agree on that? I don't think
84th or 97th?
84th. With
okay.
There's only one card of. Actually, I don't know. I think it would be better off in Maverick since there's only one card of medium tank. What do you think?
I have a balanced deck. I've got a medium deck too. If you're playing it balanced, I basically only take IS-2s. Like I don't even take the T-34s, but
Send both, and we'll make the difference between a Maverick and a balanced deck.
Okay.
I wish you all a good night. I need to work in 6 hours.
Oh, all right. Well, have a great night. Have a great 6 hours.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Thanks for joining in.
Night, or
My guys. And thanks for the stream.
Yeah, no problem. In the chat, we've got Captain Satan saying, "Does the Calliope make any sense on third armored?" And
it does for Maverick.
Yeah, because it would help. I'm guessing with destroying support weapon like AA or things like that.
Yeah, the Calliope, it's kind of like the Katyusha. It doesn't really have the damage to do well, but in Maverick, you can certainly use it to suppress stuff, and suppressing is big in Third Armored because you just use your half tracks, followed up, surrender stuff. The Calliope, I think, even comes with like 2 charges, and they buffed it recently in availability or something, so I haven't personally played around with it too much, but it's still a strong unit if you know how to take advantage of your attacks. I would never really expect the Calliope to go after stuff and actually kill it. So if you're going after your AA, I would stick with the long toms or the M15s. But the Calliope can certainly find a use, yeah.
Do you got your Maverick deck as well?
Yeah, I do. 1 second.
All right. Okay, so here, while we get the Maverick deck here, we got we got the Maverick deck right here. Okay. 84th Mav. All right, so let's go take a look at the balance real quick. So here we see Homer has forgo the T-34E in a balance deck. Why is that?
I don't like the T-34Es. You've got the... so, I mean, playing 84th, it's a little bit of a meme anyway, but you got the Su-76s in A phase, and I think that's enough with the ZIS-2s and the 45mm. You just bring out an IS-2, which is almost never expected. You got your OBs for a little bit of AT, and your IL-2 37mm to combined with your recon plane, right, is a really big sleeper option in this. I just don't think you really need it, and especially when I'm playing balanced, I like to really go hard into C phase, so I've got that C phase card of IS-2s, which just absolutely wreck any opponent not worried for it, because I've met so many like Panther players and such who are expecting like 3 to 4 IS-2s, and then I start bringing out the 5th and 6th one in there, and you know they don't have anything left to deal with it. But you know you can certainly take out the B phase card or the A phase card of IS-2s for the T-34E. It doesn't really change anything, especially since IS-2s are sometimes hard to justify in A phase.
All right.
What's
all right.
with the KV-85 and support deck, the flame tank? Instead of
The KV-85 in the support deck?
KV-8S.
Yeah, it's unfortunately only got the 45mm, so despite the fact that it has a good amount of armor, I don't like it. It's cheap, but that's about all that I can say. Like, if you've got the same killing power as a T-25, then, like, it's an infantry support unit, but I think the infantry in this deck holds up more than enough by itself. You can see this is one deck where I'm taking, like, a full command network, so maybe not that noob-friendly, but Gavardia DP, double, triple vet will perform just fine, and then in B phase as well, superior rocks and stuff like that. Plenty of commanders, and in C phase I've even taken the Strafniki card. So it depends on what you want to do, but I think the 50mm mortar might be able to be changed for the KV-8S. But the 50mm mortar, if you're good with your micro, it wins every infantry engagement. Like, Attack Power says this so many times that the 50mm mortar is the best thing ever, and I don't think there's anything else that I would really exchange for it.
Yeah, and over here
Two things.
Go ahead with your question.
2 things real quick. First, I'm gonna have to agree on the 50mm mortar. It's super micro intensive, and like you said, like, this isn't necessarily noob friendly because you're coming in with the full command network. But I do think it's worth noting that, like, for anybody that's watching this, you can see the 2 support ammo trucks here. That's because this man's going to be playing a lot with his artillery and things to break down whatever targets he just can't reach. And that's something that really puts you above on skill level. Second thing is, like, yeah, always bring a nice toy. If you're gonna play balanced, bring something fun in C phase. You made it to C phase. Okay, let's have fun. Like,
yeah, I'm actually even taking the supply trucks with 122 mils, simply because, you know, Katyushas, they eat up ammo, and that's actually what I'm using my Katyushas for, is specifically pin down targets and then surrender them with the infantry. I use Katyushas like mortars, not like Katyushas, which is a big thing. And then I think the 120mm mortars in the Soviet decks are really underlooked because you get 3 in A or 6 in B, And I think, didn't you have like a community post or something, Hobo,
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
where you spoke about them?
Yeah, actually, I did put I'm a big fan of 120 mil mortars, and it's extremely overlooked by everyone. But basically, you take these guys. Wait, I want to go and get them. You take these guys and you sit them a little further away from the front line, and you put them on fire at will. And I swear, I got picture proof. At the end of the game, I had one of them who had killed like, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think it was like 5-6 unit, and an important unit too. I think there was an ISU 152 in there, and they really are very, very good. And since you can shoot from afar, 81 mil mortar cannot counter you. They will often survive artillery barrage because at that distance the artillery might not be really precise. And so all you gotta do is supply them, and honestly, guys, take them. Put them on fire at will, and kind of forget about them, and they will do marvels.
Yeah, so that's the balance deck, I guess. Want to go over to the Maverick one?
May I add some suggestion to using the mortar properly? I mean, especially in fire at will mode.
Well, what is there to do else? Because that's the AI that.
It is short. Again, it is short. It won't take a lot of your time. I mean, I noticed that. I mean, I saw your message in our Discord that you achieved lots of kills just putting your mortar on auto fire at will, and people you tend to use mortars, which is the most effective middle range, how to say that?
Yeah, middle range.
Yeah, middle range instrument to support your units. I mean, once I killed one Lorraine armored arty with my 120 millimeter mortar occasionally. So never mind. I mean, usually people tend to concentrate they middle and heavy artillery support on the important flank, while they might dedicate at least one or two mortars to less important defensive flank and put them on fire at will, and forget about that flank. I mean, the shift they focus on more important flank, while leaving these mortars on fire at will mode to support the defensive units, and so on. This works pretty good, in my opinion.
I almost never put my mortars on fire at will. If you've got the micro, go for it. Use them to directly support your infantry. The mortars are good.
I'm not talking about the flank where you go into attack. Where you go into attack and you need intensive support, you have to micromanage them.
Even in defensive positions, right? Like if you're on a defensive flank or something like that, there's also the smart order defensive, like fire defensively position. I think I can't remember. There's a smart order for it. You get a little circle around the area, and then the mortars automatically target everything in that area. It's a great defensive tool. It's a great offensive tool. Don't sleep on the 120 millimeter mortars.
Yeah, for sure. But here, Hobo once gave an example how he killed lots of troops with his simple 120 mil mortar, just putting it on fire at will. I suspect that he left it away from his control on less important flank, and that's how that mortar has performed. That's what I'm talking about.
He basically said that.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
I just suggest, and probably I hope I'm correct.
Yeah, no, exactly. So keep them on fire at will, and they will do wonders. Now going for the
On the flank, which is less important for you.
well, either way, yeah, for sure, on the flank or because fire at will, it's the AI that will decide where it shoots. But yeah, so you can put them on the flanks for sure. Now going for the 84th Maverick. So wait, let's go real quick between Maverick and Balance. Balance, there's a lot of snipers there as well, and if we're going for the Maverick, there's still a lot of snipers. So I'm trying to take a look at the difference, Omer. There's
A lot more medium tanks. You got both sniper cards in A. There's actually less infantry. But the important things is you got like the Ognamachiki and the Superior PPSH. We spoke briefly about them earlier. Both great at rushing. I've brought a lot more medium armored support because, unlike in Balanced, where I wanted the most IS-2s as possible, the medium armor support does matter, especially when you're not taking a command network, which I am not in this case. We've also got the Panzerschreck, which is super important in that kind of situation. And then the only difference is I've moved the artillery to B phase and the Katyushas to A phase, and we put some VZ-VODs in there as well. So yeah, it's just a more aggressive version of the other deck. You've got a little bit more offensive armor. You've got the Strafniki in B, so you got your great pushing units as well. But it's the same thing, except you're expecting to only make it to minute 26 to 30 instead.
yeah, and you still took C phase infantry, but this time you vetted up, and I believe that's the right choice. A lot of players do not take C phase infantry with their Maverick or Vanguard deck, and it's important. Yeah. It's important.
If you're playing Maverick, I would say upvet your C phase infantry, because especially against something like Vanguard, which if you do find yourself into that late phase game, you don't have the income to really make a difference, but the veterancy does make a huge difference. So I like vetting my C phase infantry in my Maverick decks, but yeah. And you can also see here, we've got the trifecta all of a sudden. Ognamachiki, SG-43s, OB-25s. Hope we talked about that earlier. Great support all around A phase.
And even the 50 mil to go with them. This is absolutely a killer combo.
Quick question.
Yep.
So, I've been working on my attacks, my aggressiveness. Smoke is pretty key for attacks and aggressiveness. Now, I'm wondering. I notice, Homer, you bring a lot of mortars, especially in this deck. You're bringing the 50 mils, you're bringing the 120 mils. You're going to be providing a lot of smoke. But in other decks that are a little less mortar intensive, do you find that smoke with your Ognamachikis or your Sturmovikis or so, whatever the counterpart is there, the Flammenwerfers, like where do you find your smoke?
So smoke for attacks is basically only provided by smoke firing units. This can sometimes be mortars, and sometimes it'll be like the lower caliber of artillery. I'm pretty sure ZIS-3 or the F-22s, or even like the LEFHs can provide smoke in an emergency. But the smoke that's on the individual units, so Sturmpioneers, Ognamachiki, they're mostly useful for when you find yourself just a little bit too late trying to get into a position and you need to smoke your own units off to get into that position. So if you're forced to unload a unit, smoke it off, smoke its path off, and then get it into cover. But really, smoke from mortars and stuff is more than enough otherwise if you are using smoke.
What you can do as well is say you put the flamers are always going to be first in your deployment when you start play, and you got your infantry behind who are a little bit slower. So say you got to go through a road and you got your flamers first, unload your flame, like you meet the enemy has snipers, 80 guns right in the middle of the street, unload the sniper, put some smoke, and this liberates the entire road for the rest of your troops to arrive safely.
Thank you very much. Yeah, smoke play is difficult to master and extremely useful.
It's extremely useful, yeah, and it's very, very micro-intensive, but you definitely have to start working. Try to, in every of your game, try to think about, let's use smoke. And, even if you don't actually need the smoke, when you think about it, do the action of, and I'm like, this is completely for newer players, do the action of just putting the smoke, and that will kind of register in your head, and that's what I used to do. I would just deploy the smoke when I think about it, and now it's basically automatic. I know there's smoke, I know I can use it, and when there's a situation, it's almost natural. I put the smoke in.
Well, thank you very much. It's very helpful.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Well, that's that then. So, do we have anything else? Any other decks?
11th SS
11.
Nordland.
Oh yeah. Nordland. All right. We've got Nordland here. This is mostly a Maverick deck, I would say. Those are the one with the bombers, I think. Yeah. I would say you gotta play Nordland with a Maverick income, or maybe even a Vanguard. Personally, I play everything balanced. So that's the thing. Some people, they sometimes ask what division is what income. Well, basically, the division, you mold it into your own play style. And it's true, like Brony Nara, you probably wouldn't play that balance. I did, and it's a hard time. But you can still, figure something out. So, but yeah, generally Nordland will be a Maverick deck.
I've got a balance deck if you want to take a look at it.
No.
I was just curious because that
Yeah,
was
say
one of the
that.
decks I fought against, and I was trying to figure out what the game plan was there when I fought it.
What do you, what's the game plan when you fight against Nordland?
Both. I was fighting against it, and I was trying to figure out what the ideal was behind it and how to fight it.
Nordland is a German infantry tab, but it's a good German infantry tab, so you got a lot of Panzer Grenadiers with Panther support, and then your Arados are basically untouchable. So if you're able to project power in Nordland, it's a hard deck to go long with, but it is certainly a powerful deck. It's got some great rushing tools, or anti-rushing tools, rather. It's got like the Puma and plenty of armored cars.
I kind of like its defense tab. I'm surprised nobody ever plays defensive games, though.
Well, your defensive games are essentially when you pick balanced income, right? Because you're going to be going up against a lot of aggressive decks, and that's what I do in my balanced decks. Is you play defensively. But really, the crux of Nordland is it doesn't have very good support options, right? So it's only got like the 150 mils or the SK-18s, and then it's got a single card of Wolframen in the form of the Stuka zu Fuß. And this is somewhat exploitable in the fact that if you've got better CQC than Nordland, you can use smoke and abuse your CQC to basically win every fight, because Nordland only has the Sturm Pioneers and B phase. So you've basically got A phase to have complete reign with all your
CQC.
What's it called? Your CQC, exactly.
And one thing I do when I face Nordland, I overly invest in AA because often people will be playing it on balanced newer players. On QP, you find this deck unbalanced a lot, and you just don't want to have those jet planes on you the entire game. So,
oh man, they are so fast, even P-51 Mustang.
yeah, they are killers, but they're not invincible if you invest crazy in anti-air. That's.
I wish I'd know.
Yeah,
I wish I'd known that with Third Armored.
Yeah.
I sent you the deck as well. And I mean, you can't really overly invest in AA with Third Armored because Third Armored doesn't have the AA to do it, right?
Exactly. Some games you just, sometimes you get into QP, and you get into a game, and it's just you're going to lose. No matter what you do, chances are you're going to lose. And playing Third Armor against Nordland.
Third Armor is actually a great pick against Nordland, honestly. The only places where Third Armored isn't a good pick against is against 2KAT divisions. So anything with a Pack 43, basically, or like a King Tiger.
But is it though? Because Nordland does have a lot of a recon car. You got the Pumas, you got even the SPW 231. They will kill the half track that Third Armored has.
Yeah.
You can abuse your Air Force.
If you know you're facing Nordland with Third Armored, just stack up on M8s. Like you've got more than enough M8s to deal with any Pumas or anything like that. Try not to rely too much on your half tracks, but even then, like the Panzergrens aren't going to be very good, which is I think why I take like a B-phase card at Panzerschrecks in Nordland, right? It's specifically to deal with that light armor because Nordland has absolutely no other way to deal with light armored. So I would consider third armored, which is actually like a light armored deck almost. It's a heavy armored deck, but you get a million light armor to be a pretty good option against it.
You do have the Pack 45 mil though that you could take. Why would you prefer the Panzerschreck? Because M8 Greyhounds or a lot of recon armor, they're recon especially. So why would you? They will discover your Panzerschreck before. I think 45 mil would be maybe better in that aspect. No.
Maybe it depends. I like the Panzerschrecks. Especially like a B-phase card of them. It's less expected that I have 8 Panzerschrecks, and so players will get a lot more aggressive after the first 4 die with like tanks and stuff and trying to kill infantry, and then the Panzerschrecks catch them out of guard. Meanwhile, if you take the lighter AT gun, it'll help you in the opener. But if you're playing Nordland against like third armored, for example, you do have the Pumas, which are going to like stop any M8s is the hope, right? So it's the kind of the balance. You can fight against Nordland a specific way. Nordland can fight against you a specific way. It's not like you don't have tools to deal with it in Nordland.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. So yeah, here's the deck, the Nordland deck. Like if you want to deal with Nordland, you gotta make sure you've got AA with them. It's hard though when you're in QP because you don't know what you're coming against, and that's why it's important when you build a deck and you don't intend to play it in the tournament. It's to build a balance, not the income, but it's to build a balanced type of units that can deal with anything and everything. And that's the idea. And if you do play tournaments, do not use your QP decks for tournament. I've seen people do that and it's not good. You got to really think about what you're going to bring. You got to open the other person's deck, maybe build a deck, and think of the thing that you're going to use to counter them. So QP, tournament, very different type of deck building.
Yeah, just to say a couple things on the deck. I'm not sure why I take so much AA in this. You could probably take the Flak 38 out and add some orders into it. But other than that, its strengths are really in the infantry tab and the Stukatze and the Arado, of course. Other than that, it's almost like a one-trick pony. Panther Ds aren't too hard to kill. But yeah.
Yeah, Panthers
it can be a powerful deck.
Panthers are not really noob friendly either. I've made a whole video about that one time. Panthers are really easy to kill if you're not good with them. So you gotta be. I guess it would be a deck to practice again your micro like the other deck we've seen. It's just that you gotta keep these things alive at all costs, or else you're gonna overspend in Panthers and you're just not going to have anything on the ground.
Yep, but a pretty fun deck otherwise. I love using the Arados, especially 2 in C, because normally you just take 1 in A and 1 in B, but then you got like 3 Arados coming at the enemy, and despite your AA net, there's no way you're going to shoot down 3 of them, right?
Well, I guess it depends against who you're playing for sure.
Clearly.
Against you,
okay,
probably
well.
not.
Next.
Why the recon plane in B phase?
I like upvetting my recon planes and having them in B phase. It's a matter of preference if you unvet them and have them in A phase or B phase and you upvet them. I like them in B phase in my balanced decks because in my balanced decks I'm focusing a lot on killing AA and such. And veterancy brings resilience, and I'm not going to have a ton of points to bring them in A phase anyway, so I like having the more availability to last them long game and the resilience for spotting AA in B phase.
All right.
But it's completely fine to just take them A phase, bring them on the opener, right? You get a bunch of recon for it. Recon planes are just great in general.
Just never saw a deck before with B phase recons without good resilience. Because you can use the resilience to actually shield your Arados. This is what, but the BF 109 has no good
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't get any other recon options in this deck other than the GO 145, which is just kind of absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I like those. I really like those because you have 2 on the field and then the enemy has to spawn AA. So an AA is usually more expensive than a GO. So there you get a point difference.
Yeah,
You know, and
but
on
they
2
usually
flags
die.
on the field.
They're useless for the rest of the game. So in like a Maverick
Yeah.
deck, completely agree with you. They do have a purpose, especially in like 16th Panther or something, in forcing your opponent to buy AA. But other than that, like I've seen plenty of games where my opponent has bought GOs and have already bought AA in the beginning to begin with. I just brought it out in my opener, and then the GO does nothing. And like, well, then you don't have any recon, right? The BF 109 is at least fast enough that it'll get out of the AA radius, and you will continue to spot stuff throughout the game. Meanwhile, the GO will enter an AA circle and always go down. So somebody had another deck to go through.
I do. I'm pulling the deck code right now, so maybe you guys could tear it apart, tell me what's wrong with
Go
it.
ahead,
or,
go
or
ahead.
how it goes.
That's perfect.
I stumbled upon this deck. I'm a vanilla player, so I'm just kind of looking through all the crazy stuff that I have access to, and I had fun with it and noticed that there were some significant weaknesses that I'm trying to, because I kind of fell in love with it. This is 3rd Strelky, mechanized.
This is what?
3rd mechanized.
And this is gonna be
Okay.
3rd mechanized, and I'm sending it to you right now in DM. So
3rd mech is a hard deck to play,
Yeah,
quite honestly.
it's definitely a pro deck. Are you sending it in the main channel or in private? Hello?
Hello? He's
my
gone.
computer a second to load up.
Okay. Oh, there you go. I got the deck.
Slow laptop storms hitting the West Coast right now. Sorry, guys.
No problem. All right, so that is Papa Nurgle's deck. Okay, here it goes. All right, so just before we start, what is your experience with Steel Division 2? Like, how many games you've played, more or less?
Perfect question. I just bought this game last October.
Okay.
Fell in love with it. Been playing RTSs since I was a kid. I have about 76 games online.
76. Okay.
Of those, maybe 10 are team. Big 1v1 fan, so I built this for 1v1s to go long in CFITs because I really enjoy the balanced idea.
All right, so a 76 more or less. Okay, let's take a quick look at the deck here. You've got, I'll just put here. You've got snipers in A face with the Carrier Dushka, Valentine Tree.
I already see the problem.
Go ahead, go.
Set your cards to look at C phase only real quick and realize that there's only 3 units.
In the balance deck.
And
yeah,
in a balance deck. Like you've outfitted this as a balance deck, except you don't actually have the capability to go long. And this is actually kind of a problem I find with this deck in general. But like you might be able to make it work if you bring like some Shermans in C and some SU-85s in C. But the only way I found that 3rd guards work for me is in a really aggressive style. The recon tab is also kind of like really thick.
It's thick. You can remove the Valentine, I would say, quite easily. And I don't. The Carrier Dushka can be useful in the forest, I guess, but I don't know.
Carrier Dushkas are great. Like the deck isn't necessarily built badly, but it doesn't have the longevity for the income. Like quite honestly. You move that Superior card to B phase, and this is a great Maverick deck. It might just speak to the weaknesses of the deck that you can't really go balance with it too much. But yeah.
And I would remove that ZSU personally.
Okay. I'm listening. Fully listening. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So you play with balance though, right?
Yeah, I don't really play any other
Okay,
income.
so
I really enjoy balance.
balance in
If you like this deck, why not try out Maverick? That'd be my pro advice there.
I'd be willing to try it on Maverick. Absolutely. I'm just saying, like, I haven't left that comfort zone yet.
yeah, for sure. It's hard to be aggressive, and yeah, it's hard. It's stressful to go aggressive, but for sure, it is the better income. I wouldn't vet up the Partisani either. There's no use. Their force isn't the Molotov cocktail there, so you put them in the forest. They throw the Molotov cocktail. They get some surrenders, stuff like that. So I don't think you need to vet them. What else in here for a balanced deck? I would exchange personally. I would exchange these AT guns, because you meet the biggest tanks in B phase, not in C phase, and then double vet maybe for longevity. You could up vet one, but the SU-85 are pretty bad in my opinion. That you probably want them double vetted up. Over here, Valentine. Yeah. Take a.
You hear it in your voice, you're like, yeah, this is just hard.
No, it's fine. I'd take a C card, Sherman's, just for longevity again. I don't think you need 2 in C face either. And what else do they have? Yeah, I'd take the 120 mil in B face, and these guys over here. You don't need to vet your artillery either. And these guys in C face. Do you have supplies? You got 1 card of supplies, and you've got it. Don't take supplies with the 37 mil because you'll need those AA, and you don't want to be spending 160 points or whatever it was just because you need supplies. We're at 48 out of 50, so I'm just thinking here, what can we remove?
Yeah, that makes sense, because I find that when I'm looking for my AA, I'm like, oh man, I gotta wait a couple more seconds because I'm just like 10 points under or something, because they're just so expensive. They're just so expensive.
Yeah, so don't bring your AA with supply. In places where you can get away with that is like 12th SS, where you've got a great AA tab. Hobo spoke about having like a C phase card of AA with supplies, but if you're already bringing in C phase AA, you're already in C phase, and you've got enough AA to cover the map because you needed the AA in A phase and B phase anyway, right? In decks like Third Guards, there's only 2 cards of AA that's even worth taking unless you're playing like some fucking meme Yaman strats. He loves the ZSU, but so supply and AA doesn't really mix here, which is another problem of the deck, is that its artillery is not heavy enough to really let it through the long game. Some players swear by the ZIS-3 and the F-22s, but they never perform in counter battery for me. Like a single 150 is worth like 4 F-22s, quite honestly, and it's only twice as expensive.
And you know,
and with
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wasn't trying to interrupt. Sorry about that. I was just gonna say that with my level of skill, my arty ability right now, I play more. You can see I bring more mortars than I usually bring artillery, and that's kind of a theme throughout because I just try to use that towed artillery to keep the artillery shells from falling on my own head. So that's usually set to counter battery, and I'll have micro when I have to. But yeah, those don't perform as I'd like them to.
No, you don't have a lot of good artillery option with Third Guard, but you know, if you don't want a micro, you know, like I put you some 120 mil there in B. Just set them up on the map, put them on return fire. I gave you more than enough supplies for everything you have, and the ZIS-3 in C phase. What I like about the Soviet ZIS-3s or whatever F-22 artillery is that in C phase they're good anti-tank. They only got 10 shells, but you can just pop them in the front line everywhere, and they'll throw HE, they can throw smoke, they got AP rounds as well, and they can be just really good because you don't even have 2 cards of ZIS-3, so, and you can't put them in C phase. So it's just, you know, the idea behind a balanced deck is that you play you got to play really, really well in your phase A, because when you face Maverick players, they're going to try to win the deployment battle, and then from that they'll build on their full assault in B phase. So as a balanced player, you really got to micro your A phase, and you got to destroy them in the opening. So you'll want a lot of stuff in phase A to push through, and this is pretty good here. And then in phase B, you kind of want to sit back and defend and hold the wave, and maybe hold a flag if you captured one. And then in C phase, you're just gonna go strong, and you're gonna want to have a lot of cheap stuff to throw at the enemy. And here in this deck, you got all of that. You got 25 points infantry, which are pretty good. The Guardia DP are some of the best. Even your Saperi, they do have SVTs, and so that's why I kept them up-vetted like you did. That was a good thing to do. And then you got the cheap Shermans who will support your infantry. You've got some Su-85 that can kill. You ambush these guys, and then you can spam the histories, and this leaves you with enough income to. I put you some bombers here because you have the lag 3-4 in C phase, but in C phase these guys are never going to get anywhere because the enemy will have AA. So what you need to do as a balanced player is build up your bombers, and even as you buy them in B phase, you don't really need to use them. You can just have them in your deck. And now maybe Omer's going with big eyes when I say that, but you could, just sit them a little bit and then start using them in B, because a problem that most people has is they'll send bombers one by one and they'll die, and then it's just like you get to C phase, you're a balanced player, and you don't have your Air Force anymore. So wait till you got 2 or 3 and send them all at the same time, all at the same target from different avenues, and then you want to micro their exit position. So if you got one coming from the right flank, you'll want them to exit on the left flank, and those coming from the left flank, you'll want them to exit at the right flank. And what that does is that the AA will disperse on multiple planes, and you'll survive the day. So lots of bombers, lots of good resilience bombers. And I don't know if Omer wanted to add something to that.
That's basically it. I mean, the biggest benefit that this deck has in C phase, if you can call it that, is the fact that those IL-4s do come in at high availability. Like 6,000 kilogram bombers in C, that's pretty spicy, I gotta say. But actually getting there is kind of hard, and then you don't even have the artillery to really deal with AA, so you're relying on mortars, right? So again, I think it's more of a Maverick deck, but Hobo covered it pretty well in the infantry spam and a little bit of the different tactics you can use for balance.
And another thing I noticed is you got a leader here. You just got 3 leaders in your deck. You don't have a chain. You don't have a commander. You don't have anything. I mean, it can be good to put them.
Leaders are still worth it.
Well, it depends. But if you're going to play balance anyway, by C phase, you're so much all over the place that I don't know. I guess you could use them for the. All right, we'll keep them for the AA, I'm guessing. But another thing, if you're going to play a balanced deck, I would recommend on getting as much AA as you can. So I wouldn't upvet them personally.
So this deck was built for Gora, and I was actually using those the Tanko Comrades, my leadership, to help buff my CQC because I was getting tore up in the forest.
Okay, so that's a tournament deck?
You can definitely do it. But this deck on Gora?
Yeah, that was the Peasant Joust through the kingdom.
I gotta say that this is not a Gora Calraria division. It's got none of the tools that you need to succeed on Gora, right? Besides CQC, I guess. Oh,
Oh yeah, the one
Brand
with the
new.
bridge.
Brand new.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, like I said earlier, don't use your tournament decks for QP, or I don't know if you play QP or if you just play the tournaments in the kingdom. But yeah.
I do enjoy some quick play. So I've got to give a big shout out to the kingdom for having so many people willing to help us all learn and get into the game. The community is really great, and some of the advice I've been getting is to just jump into ranked, get as many losses as I can so I can win the maps.
Thank you. The kingdom is indeed the greatest. It was funded by one of the best players in Steel Division 2, me, and and we've only seen
Action.
success.
Just kidding.
No, of course, but yeah, thank you, appreciate that. I guess we could go through another person's deck, and then I'll have to leave. Is there anyone that would want us to review their deck?
You want to review my deck?
No, you already got good decks.
Oh, I had a funny deck though. Whatever.
No, let's give a chance to anyone else has a deck in the chat, or anyone else. If not, I guess we could build a Festung Dunkirchen deck together. I need one anyway for QP. All right, Festung Dunkirchen.
I got a really fun second infantry.
Oh, okay, all right, send it. Maybe I'll make my own video for Festung.
Let me get back in there and pull it up.
All right. Anyone, while he does that, does anyone else have a quick question? I guess not.
How much artillery is enough artillery?
I feel like that's a trick question. But,
Why? Because I'm saying it.
yeah, for sure. But if I were going with my old self, I would say, if we're going for a serious question, I would say there's never too much artillery as long as you got the supplies for them, I would say.
Bingo.
Yeah, there you go. All right, cool. All right, I am a pro player. Where's that deck?
You're great. You're great. Yeah, I mean, if you can keep your artillery supplied, it always provides value. So
Exactly. I see a lot of people with balanced deck, and they don't bring. You know, I fight them. I go take a look at their decks after, and they only got 1 cards of 4 supply, and they got so many artillery, and they end up not being able to fire them. And you know, what's the point? What's the point? You just got 40 shells. If you play a balanced game, you know, you're going for the long game. So yeah.
this is why I wanted you to look at my 12th assist balance deck. Guess how many supply trucks I'd taken it?
I don't want to know. 12 SS. 3.
18. 18.
You got 3. Oh my god. No, that's not good. We're not reviewing this. And what do you use them with for the humble?
Wolfraven. I mean, no, Wolfraven.
Oh yeah.
12 SS, it's the Wolfraven deck,
How
right?
much?
You think about it balanced, right?
Yeah. So you got
It's
what?
crazy.
You got 6 Wolframen? Oh my god.
I got 6 Wolframen,
Yeah.
two direct cards of supply. I take the Flak 41s in B with supply, and a card of 150s with supply in C.
Oh man, this is sickening.
And you know what?
What?
I once only took 14 cards of supply, and I lost versus Sir Daniels because I didn't have enough supply.
But that's the
game.
thing, eh? That's what leads us sometimes to make these crazy decks, and is you play with them and you're like, oh yeah, that one game I lack supplies, so this time I'll have plenty, you know. And
This time I'll have 18 cards of supply. That game was 90 minutes.
Jesus. Oh man, no, yeah, that's way too much. But you know, I think 12 SS is a Vanguard deck more than anything else. And people can come at me if they want. 12.
I'll come at you.
12 SS. It's not ranked really high because people play them either on Maverick or Vanguard. But if you do the 4 Panther opening, I mean, it can be really, really memey, but it can be really hard to counter. And even without the 4 Panther meme, you just start the game with lots of good stuff. You know, you've got the Wirbelwind, you've got the 81 mil half tracks. Anyway, I just think it's a great deck. But I've received a deck from Papa Nurgle. I think it's a great Vanguard deck. 12 SS. Alright, we're going with second Indian Head. So that's a balanced deck as well. This time there's the crocodile. This time there's a lot of stuff. I would personally automatically remove these crocodile. You can only get in C phase. They're so slow to arrive. They do sponge a lot, but I'd probably go with this instead in A phase. And then if you got the 105 here, you can take these guys in sea face even. Personally. That's good. The xylophone in sea face. You've got 1 card of supply. Oh my god. Look at it. You got that. We were just talking about that. You got 1 card of GMC supply, but you got 2 half track, 4 howitzers, 4 xylophone. So, you know, and I'm not seeing anywhere else where they would be supplies. So that's definitely a huge problem.
I would almost take the xylophones in B, and then you move the M105 howitzers into C and take them with supply. Because I think you can get the supply in the M105s in the Second Indian Ed.
You can if you upvet them. So there you go. And then take these guys in here. Yeah, that's much better because, yeah, you got 4 xylophone in C face, but you can't use them. So, you know, now you got 2. You can use them with the supplies here. You got the howitzers there that can fire to eternity. And you can also, for if it interests you, you can go across the river. So, I don't know. I don't know what's the use, but you could if you want to. You're playing at balance. You got double vet Bofors. Well, Bofors are really, really good as they are. But I think that's too much. Just go like that on a balanced deck.
If you want to kill them, Bofors double vet can be pretty good.
What?
Double vet Bofors are really good at killing planes, and I don't think he has a commander in this deck. It's a bit hard to see on YouTube, but
No,
you
he
can.
doesn't.
Yeah, it's only a 2-point card slot, and you might as well take the double point Bofors.
But
Because your alternative would be like taking more artillery. That's what I would do, is take more artillery instead of the Bofors card. But if you're really worried about airplanes, especially since you're taking the bad fighters, you got to take the good fighters in this one. The 95 point, the P-38s are very bad fighters. You got to take the ace. What's it called?
Gabby, the P-47.
Exactly.
55.
You got to kill Gabby, and then Gabby will die, and the rest of the card will actually provide you value.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I would completely remove that double vet. You don't need to worry about Air Force with second Indian head. And I think if you completely overwhelm your enemy, he won't be able anyway to buy a lot of planes, and it's easy to overwhelm an enemy with second infantry. So this is good. I would personally put them in B phase to create a wolf pack, but that's not very noob friendly. What else? P4.
You could probably put more bombers in there or more artillery. That'd be my suggestion. So put some bombers in.
Yeah, I think
especially in like A phase. There's like
I think he's got enough artillery. Definitely.
Yeah, then probably a bomber. There's a phase card of bombers. I think that gets 3 in A phase, which is just worth taking just because of the availability. That gives you plenty of utility throughout the game. The
Yeah.
P-47.
Yeah, but the P-38, oof, they got 2K bombs. But yeah, you do have 3 availability P-47, and that's actually, to me, it negates the need to get Gabby, because you do have your P-47 there, or you could take Gabby and upvet them just for the meme. I don't know.
Depends on whether or not you put Worth on fighters or not. Hobo Tango doesn't seem to like him, but the professional opinion seems to be take a fighter.
All right, we'll take a fighter, but we'll take them in B phase instead. Let's compromise. And then you've got enough fighters. They're very expensive though. They're very expensive. You gotta micro them. The thing with second Indian is that they're really, really good, but you really gotta micro their good units. Like M10 tank destroyers, the M18 Hellcat, the M5 guns. These are all really, really, really micro intensive. And the M5 guns, you need supplies for them because they only got 2 APCR shells. So you gotta get some supplies. And now you do, so that's good. What else? Otherwise it's pretty good. I don't know why people put these. Do you play defensive games, Papa?
I play offensive games.
Yeah, okay. Is Papa Nurgle still with us?
He's still here.
Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, I think the deck is great. If we go more in details with the... Maybe I wouldn't... Oh, you can only get them in double vet. Okay. Engineers... I don't think you need to vet them. Rifle leaders... well, you got 2 of them. I don't know. Personally, I would remove them completely and put more infantry, because in A phase you don't actually have a lot of... I'll remove the rifle leader, add them back if you really want to. It doesn't matter, but I would want something else. Yeah, there you go. That's what I would want. 12 infantry in A phase I think is really important. Oh, he's back with us. All right. The Rangers in B phase.
Sorry, guys, it's storm.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No problems. Rangers in B phase, I guess you don't really have a choice there. Maybe these guys you would want to take in C phase, because otherwise they're not really good in B phase when there's a lot of people. You already got some line infantry here anyway. And these guys are really, really expensive. You know, you do have a lot of support weapon with second Indian head. I'll leave it because it's a personal choice, but in B phase, your only infantry is these 45 points, which maybe that's why you took the Rangers in B phase, but the Rangers will die easily, so I don't know. Personally, I would remove that. Had them back if you want, because I'll share all these decks in the comment after it's uploaded. And then again, you've got 40 points infantry with shitty half tracks. I would just take the GMCs. There you go. And these guys, 50 points. Oh boy. But, you know, that's good because that's a support unit for phase C. And there you go. That would be my deck. Omer, got anything else to say?
Oh, it's pretty good for an Indian head deck, but Indian head is hard to get wrong because it's just that versatile, right? I had a lot of fun playing with Want Some Noobs Indian head deck the other day. But yeah, it looks good.
All right. And
It's just so fun running around with those half tracks and everything.
yeah, well, you know, just add back the half tracks if you really want them. This is just a personal choice here. Okay, we've been sent Homer's deck. We're just gonna take... That's not your deck, Homer. That's not 3 cards of...
Did I not? Oh, I screwed it up. I didn't copy it properly. Whoopsies.
You screwed
God
it up.
darn.
We can still look at it.
Thank you, guys.
You've
I
got...
appreciate it. I do want to explain the vetted flags at the time.
Yep.
Is because I didn't really think I needed a lot of availability because everything comes with 50 cal. Like those 50 cals are extremely useful. I understand why Attack Power says that they need to be nerfed and stuff like that, but for what they do, it's...
Hobo, I'm pretty sure you screwed up. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's fine. It's just that if you bring those and they're expensive, but it's bringing 2 units. So you don't play stupid with your half tracks. You use them like another unit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, that deck is ugly. You don't have 3 supply truck, by the way.
I told you, I've got 2 supply trucks and then the artillery and the AA. That's 16.
Oh, I see. I thought you took 3 C-face cards of supplies.
No.
Oh man, look at that. Hummel. I'll put this deck out, guys, if you want to try this meme as well. But this is definitely not...
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, I guess. Homer can make it work, I'm sure.
Are you teaming that?
It's so many C-face cards. This is a deck that's not made to last 30 minutes. It's not made to last 40 minutes. It's made to last 120 minutes.
Yeah, that's how you win. you just defend and you don't move from there. My god.
You should bring that to our like 4v4 Tannenberg 10v10 map. Usually that's how meme worthy that is.
10 doesn't have the income. No, this is full income levels of memery for 190 minutes.
Oh my god. What do you got?
Yeah, we try to do events like that all the time. Let's see, last weekend it was 1,500 starting income, half income for the rest of the game, 4v4, Tannenberg 10 and 10.
All right. Okay. Well, That's a bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a bad deck. Okay, guys, I have to go. I want to thank everyone for participating. Thanks to Omer. You really
You're
carried.
welcome.
You really carried that, and we couldn't ask for better advice. And for everyone that has the questions as well, I hope that helps everyone else. After the game, I will copy these decks code in the comment section, so come back to see it. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.